So what's up, everybody? This is your boy Jonathan back at it again. And I want to give guidance because when I was a young man transitioning, I didn't have guidance, made a lot of mistakes, wasted 12 years of my life. I don't want to do that or see other people go through that, so that's what this channel is about. So I want to talk about San Francisco. I grew up in San Francisco, and I just wanted to talk about, how it really affected the way I am. Now, what I will say before I start is that, okay, a lot of the issues I had to do with me, meaning like when I was younger, I wasn't allowed to do nothing that wasn't black or Christian, so then I really didn't do anything. Didn't develop myself, and ended up being the cute, dumb guy who was always trying to get attention. Made a lot of people mad and upset, and didn't really have friends or girlfriends out there, or always had, social drama. That being said, I'm not going to talk about that because that doesn't really have anything to do with San Francisco. That has to do with me as a person. So I will tell you how San Francisco directly hurt me, but it wasn't really socially because, like I said, I messed up socially. San Francisco had nothing to do with that. Now, so when I was growing up, I grew up in all the projects in San Francisco. It was a lot. It was really dangerous growing up. A lot of drugs and stuff. And they had a lot of programs for youth in San Francisco, but they were underprivileged. Not underprivileged. They didn't have enough money. Underfunded. They were underfunded, and they didn't really give a lot of options of what they could do. It was mostly babysitting. So yeah, you could get help with your homework and play outside. They had basketball, football, and maybe swimming. And other than that, maybe arts and crafts, or maybe like you could take a class on cooking. That was it. I remember one of the programs, end of the summer, you can go to the amusement park, which was fun. Or I think one time we went to a farm and picked strawberries. But other than that, there wasn't really any substances to it. A lot of that stuff wasn't really developed. And so it didn't really help as youth develop ourselves. Also, there were a lot of strong black men in San Francisco, but the problem is most of them were there for their paycheck, and after work they would dip out and go live in the suburbs of San Francisco, outside of San Francisco. So, I had strong black male teachers and role models that I saw, but they weren't around much because it was like they're just here to get their paycheck, and they would go dip out to the suburbs of San Francisco to go home, right? So I didn't have a lot of male role models. Now the thing is, the black community in San Francisco, when I was living there, it was falling apart, and there was a lot of people trying to hold it together. And so they were like, you can only do black related stuff, or you can only do Christian related stuff. You can't do nothing else, because they were trying to hold our people together. And that really hurt because I didn't really get to develop myself, because it's like there's so much more out there than only black activities or only Christian activities. And that really hurt me from developing myself. And like I said, that led to a lot of social issues, which I told you, were my fault because I just wasn't developed enough to handle a lot of situations. The other thing I'll say is the church has always been huge in San Francisco, like Christianity. The reason is San Francisco has been ground zero of like drugs since the 1960s. And what happens is a lot of the Christian churches that take advantage of that and run out to San Francisco trying to save souls and save lives, which is fine. The problem with that is like they will try to jump on everybody and lie to them and say, okay, we have everything. You can't do anything without us. You can't do anything without Jesus. And, you're not going to have nothing if you don't do this. So, okay, so you join churches. Next thing you know, they want you to be obsessed with it. Like literally obsessed. And when I went to college, it was like 10 different Christian groups, and they were all sniping for me. Like they were all like ready to pounce me because I didn't really have no guidance, and I was kind of walking around like a lost puppy, and they were able to pounce. And the thing about it is, they don't want you to pay to do anything but the church stuff. And then I graduated with nothing. Like I had to go get a job protecting wet cement as a security guard, making minimum wage when I first graduated, because it was like they just kind of became a distraction and only focus on Jesus, you know. And I thought that really hurt me in the long run. So that was not the best experience. And the second thing about it is they run social services. And, or when I think my brother said it's a little different, but when I was living there, they were running social services. And the problem with that is like, a city can run their own social services, but they need funding. And if they don't have funding, and social services are expensive, so they have to get funding for somewhere. But if you let the Christians run it, Christians do it out of donations. So if you give it to the Christians and let them run the social services, they figure out, and they don't need funding because they just figure out how to get donations to do the stuff. The problem is they more focus on, okay, we'll give you food, we'll give you clothing, we'll give you a shelter bed, we'll give you a hotel room, we'll give you clean needles to do your drugs, we'll give you a paycheck if you're homeless. And everybody thinks that's good. But when you're actually looking for a job, like you graduate college and you're looking for a job, and everywhere you go, who's supposed to be doing social services is a Christian organization, and they'll give you everything but guidance to get a job. It's kind of like, are you serious? Like they have, one of the unemployment offices had computers from like 1991, and it was 2012. You know, what are you gonna do with that? You know, or it like takes a month to find a counselor and get counsel on what you want to do. But if you're like, I'm homeless, I need a paycheck, you can get paid that night. So it's like, so that really hurt me in the long run, especially graduating college when I didn't really have any guidance, and I looked for guidance, and the only guidance I was given was just be a homeless person who leeches off the system. And that really hurt because it doesn't help anybody develop themselves. Other than that, I think because San Francisco is so small, it's very cliquey, so you have a lot of different cliques fighting for power. Like the Asians are trying to take over and they're kicking out everybody, and black people were fighting for territory in gang wars and getting kicked out, and the Cholos were fighting for territory and gang wars until they killed each other off and got kicked out. And you know, the church is fighting for territory, and they only want everybody to be Christian. And you know, the Asians buy up all the property, and if you're not Asian, it's hard to get a house out there or find a place to live. And that really hurt because no matter where you go, it's like just looking for housing, you have to deal with like somebody who may not like black people or something. Or just when you go to school and you're trying to get a mentor, you may not get a mentor because all of the positive black men are only in there for the paycheck, and they don't stick around long enough to mentor you. And the Asians don't want to mentor you because you're black. Like, it's a lot of stuff with that. So, but that's why it was like so hard to develop myself in San Francisco. So that's the video. That's a part of my life. So I guess the guidance part is that just you have to read the signs of when something is preventing you from developing yourself, and you got to kind of like figure out a way to deal with it and not be like me and just sit there and just go with the flow and let the Christians control you, or let, you know, this negative black culture control you. All right, I'm out. All peace.